The ground trembled violently as buildings cracked, alarms blared, and terrified screams filled the streets. Amid the chaos, Ethan Carter, a struggling single dad, shielded his 7-year-old daughter Lily under a shattered cafe table, praying for the shaking to stop. He had been on his way to the most important job interview of his life, a chance to finally secure stability for his little girl, but fate had other plans. When the earth finally went silent, dust and fear hung in the air. Ethan's phone buzzed with desperate messages. His interview had been postponed, the office building damaged. But before he could process relief, a faint cry pierced through the rubble near the collapsed bookstore across the street. "Help! Somebody, please!" Ethan turned toward the voice, heart pounding. People were running in every direction, terrified of aftershocks. No one stopped. But Ethan couldn't ignore that desperate sound. He looked at Lily, trembling in his arms. "Stay right here, sweetheart. Daddy will be back," he promised. He sprinted toward the ruins, pushing away fallen debris with bleeding hands. Beneath a cracked beam, he found a woman unconscious, trapped from the waist down. Dust covered her face, but he could see her faintly breathing. "Hang in there!" Ethan shouted, trying to lift the beam. It wouldn't budge. He screamed for help, but no one came. So he used everything he had, leverage from a broken sign, the strength of pure will, and finally, after minutes that felt like hours, freed her leg and carried her out into the light. Her pulse was weak, but steady. Ethan laid her on the sidewalk, tore his own shirt to bandage her bleeding forehead, and whispered, "You're safe now. You'll be okay." He didn't know it then, but saving that stranger would change everything. Hours passed. The city was in chaos, sirens, dust, and broken hearts everywhere. Ethan couldn't go back to the interview even when the company texted about rescheduling. He spent the day helping the injured, comforting Lily, and keeping hope alive. That night, as he sat outside the emergency shelter, Lily asleep in his arms, exhaustion hit him hard. He had nothing left, no job, no money, no home. Just the same dream that somehow tomorrow would be better. The woman he saved was taken away by paramedics earlier. He didn't even know her name. Still, he prayed for her. "Please, God, let her live," he whispered into the cold night. The next morning, as Ethan tried to calm Lily, who missed her bed and her toys, a black car pulled up in front of the shelter. 2 men in suits stepped out. "Are you Ethan Carter?" one asked. Ethan hesitated, afraid something was wrong. Then the rear door opened, and the woman he'd saved stepped out, her leg in a brace, but alive and radiant. Her eyes glistened as she walked toward him. You saved me," she said softly. "I've been looking for you." Ethan motioned for her to sit. And for the first time, the CEO and the waitress spoke not as employer and worker, but as two souls bound by fate. Ethan told her about Daniel's ideas, his ambition, and how he'd been desperate to secure funding to pay for his sister's hospital bills. Lily cried quietly, realizing her brother had been working for her till the end. But then Ethan added, "There's more." A week after he vanished, his car was found near the river. No one ever found him. The words hit her like a blade. Her brother was gone, or so it seemed. Weeks passed. Ethan couldn't shake off the encounter. Something about Daniel's disappearance didn't feel right. He used his resources to reopen the case privately, while Lily kept working, unaware that the man she'd served coffee to every morning was now fighting to uncover the truth for her. One cold evening, Ethan called Lily to his office. She came nervously, wiping her hands on her apron. When she entered, she saw a folder on his desk and her brother's photo on top. Ethan smiled softly. "Lily, I found him." Her heart nearly stopped. "WH what?" "He's alive. Daniel was injured and lost his memory. He's been living in a rehabilitation center under a different name. He was found in a remote town months ago." Lily broke down sobbing, her hands shaking uncontrollably. "Oh my God, my brother, he's alive?" Ethan nodded, emotion thick in his voice. "Yes. He's been waiting, he just didn't know for who." Days later, when Lily finally met Daniel again, the moment was overwhelming. He looked thinner, older, but the moment their eyes met, something inside him clicked. He whispered her name, Lily? And she fell into his arms, crying uncontrollably. Ethan stood silently a few feet away, tears glistening in his own eyes. For the first time in years, his heart felt light not as a CEO, but as a father and a human being who had witnessed the miracle of family and love. After Daniel recovered, Ethan offered him a position in his company. "Your ideas deserve to shine," he said. "And your sister deserves the world." Lily continued working, but not as a waitress anymore. Ethan helped her study business, and soon she was managing one of his company's departments. One evening, as the sun set over the skyline, Lily turned to Ethan and said softly, "Sir, you changed our lives. I don't know how to thank you." Ethan smiled, looking out at the horizon. "You already did, Lily. You reminded me that some things are worth more than money, like family, loyalty, and hope." And as the city lights flickered below, 3 broken lives stood together, healed by fate, by kindness, and by the unspoken belief that no one is ever truly lost.